Year's Eve. I guess time to wrap up the year, huh? Last walk and flight of the day. They say actually there may be potentially some northern lights in the sky here. Very low chance. I highly doubt it anyways because there's so many clouds. So I'm trying to think, how would I summarize the whole year for myself anyways? It seems like there was a lot of little stuff that happened, which was actually really good, but they all didn't form to make one thing really humongous per se, but it sets everything up. I got, like, for example, things like the new time-lapse camera to test, which I actually wanted the other year. So this actually gives me an opportunity, I guess, next year to try to start to do all that stuff creatively and all that. I think I got the hang of it for the most part, just in terms of capturing things like the sky time-lapse when there's clouds and all that. One, I guess, drawback so far is if you leave the thing obviously by itself in one setting, depending on what the scenery becomes, like if it becomes, let's say, brighter or darker, you could be overexposed, underexposed. There was that one example where there was thunder and lightning, and because I had the setting to allow more light during the nighttime, obviously it's too slow in terms of capturing the lightning, so it's a bit of a missed opportunity. But it'd be great actually if I had it earlier. I would have been able to capture the whole day of those northern lights. Could you imagine that? And at the same time, the only other thing I'm trying to think about currently is it looks kind of interesting when the rain and stuff hits, for example, the camera, because it looks, I don't know, surreal. But at the same time, I think it could be a distraction. I can't really think of a way to do that, because if you point, for example, the camera straight up in the sky, or even like in a diagonal, you're gonna get, for example, water and stuff hitting it. If you say like put it underneath something, then when you turn it up, you're gonna see a bit of whatever it is covering it, like a ceiling or something like that. So I'm trying to figure out if there is a way to deal with that or not. If it's kind of like a security camera where you set it up just pointing straight, right, for example, below some kind of covering, then that's fine. But if you're trying to get the whole sky in general like that, then it's going to get wet. Fortunately, like for this, it's meant to be outdoors and so forth, but I'm wondering if there's a way to avoid that if I want to avoid it anyways. And it might give me some ideas for the New Year's, just to try to capture some actual, I guess, events and stuff with like time-lapse feature, for example. And without that, I was actually testing out with the camera too. You guys might have noticed, like when I'm walking, one of the challenges actually is when you're walking outside, like with the action camera and all that, you could put an external power supply, okay, problem solved, right? But when you walk for a long time and this thing is constantly charging depending on the weather as well, the thing could actually overheat, which is actually understandable. So I tried to find ways to solve it, like for example, even running it without things like the battery, which actually worked, but at times because I'm walking and you're like bouncing up and down, things move. If the wire moves even a little bit, it seems like, oh, that's it, oh, shut off because there's no battery there, right? But I think I had a good solution so far, and if it works out, maybe I'll do something crazy next year anyways for an actual test. I guess for the year in terms of stories, probably just that recent one with all those mystery drones and all that's probably the biggest one in my mind anyways when it comes to flying things like the drone. It makes me wonder if they will have some harsher regulations in the new year. I know here they're going to adjust the law for the drone flights. I believe it's in regards to things like those BVLOS that I talked about before, so we'll see how that goes. I'm assuming they should be making it easier overall. Then again, with everything happening around the world, like those mystery drones, who knows, maybe there'll be more restrictions, huh? Actually, in terms of things like drones and all that, in terms of things like regulations, as you know, a lot of people often fear-monger the drone flyers and all that, and I'm actually happy reading some of your comments. Like people, for example, that you don't usually fly drones, and you've seen some of my videos that aren't even, for example, related to drones, even like animal stuff, and you're wondering, hey, what's going on? Everybody painted these guys as, you know, they're terrible, they're reckless and so forth, but then you watch this like, wait a minute, this guy is nothing like that. And that kind of changed your mind in terms of how people use this stuff modern day. So it makes you want to, I guess, learn more. And I think that's fantastic. That kind of actually accomplishes one of my goals anyways that I've often had, because if you have like a stereotype or a prejudice against specific groups of people, maybe you should try to look at those types of people, how they live and so forth, and maybe that'll completely change your mind to what you are taught or what you constantly see on the television, huh? I'm always actually amazed when that actually happens, considering, I guess, the barrier you have. So many fake gurus and lobbyists, for example, they just have more resources to push the narrative and I guess themselves to perpetuate that. So yeah, I love that actually. And with that thought, it was kind of interesting in terms of what was, for example, the most viewed type of videos. Apparently, according to the YouTube anyways, it was, for me, the ducks. I was like, wow, that's a lot of people watching duck videos. For example, over 1,500 hours watched for this really simple video. I guess it just shows you that there's a lot of people that can use some, I guess, peace and tranquility in life, huh? You guys just happy to do that. And the other type of videos, it seemed like that was getting a lot of attention over the years. I guess it's because of all that news with the drones and so forth. It seemed like people were looking for GPS jammers for things like drones and so forth, even though that's not what I'm specifically showing or anything like that. I'm just talking about like what's on the news. So it makes you wonder if that's a thing now in terms of people actively looking for hardware to do that on their own, even though technically it should be illegal in a lot of places for people to try to, quote, I guess, take down drones and stuff in that way. As well, I was thinking I should make another year-end video before I just kind of did that for fun, creatively and all that. And I know there's a lot of you who said there were a lot of interesting moments this year too. Like for example, the duck flying to my hand. So I'm just trying to think of something. There actually might be a lot of interesting clips to show an extended version. So maybe I'll do something like that. But I guess for the New Year's, I guess I'll play around with some of the presentation stuff that I wanted to do last year anyways. I got used to the new video editing suite and all that. It works perfectly fine. I saved so much money from all that subscription and all that. I still noticed some of the places that you guys actually told me that you were interested in seeing, so I'll see if I can plan something, I guess, for those areas and all that. As well, just like a general question, what do you guys prefer to if you had a choice? A train, a plane, or a boat? No context question. Which one would you prefer? Other than that, see you guys next year. All right, see you guys later.